Hi guys, welcome back to the Widget's Den. I'm Leica. So today I wanted to go and talk about familiars. So a lot of people get confused and get familiars and animal spirits or totems confused. They think that they're the same thing and they're not. So real quick, an animal totem or animal spirit is something that's going to be like something that you've picked out or resonated with, or that you've seen a lot over the years, that you seem to be drawn to. Like most of the times they tend to be like owls, wolves, foxes, eagles, hawks, things like that, ravens. Those type tend to be more spirit animals and spirit totems, just because most of those you wouldn't, they're not domesticated, so you wouldn't be able to own them. An animal familiar is an animal that you have a magical connection with that is actually, sorry, OCD, like I looked out my window because somebody drove by. So an animal familiar is something that you're going to have, like it's going to be with you, like physically with you. So just to give you guys a little history, I've got some notes researching on this. So back during the European witch trials and the witch hunts, animal familiars were said to be given to witches by the devil. I'm shedding, sorry, so I'm getting hair off me. They're said to be given to witches by the devil in the essence that they were small demons that possessed these animals, and they were sent out to do all of the witches' bidding. And so because of that, a lot of your cats, especially black ones back then, were the ones that were favored. And then, they could be dogs, toads, rats, other small animals like that. In Scandinavia, they were associated with spirits of the land and nature. So like fairies, dwarves, elves, any elemental being like that was said to believe to inhabit the animal's physical body, and that's what they considered their animal familiars. Now, because Christians believed that any spirit other than an angel spirit was a demon or demonic, many of the animals back during the witch trials and the witch hunts and things like that, many of your domesticated animals that were portrayed during these witch hunts or to have associations with witches or heretics like that were actually killed. There was actually a time where back during the Salem witch trials, there was actually a man who had been charged with teaching his dog how to attack, like in a magical form of some sort, and the dog itself was actually tried and convicted and hung itself because of that. Weird, I know, weird. Shamanism. So in shamanism, shamans believe that familiars are not physical beings, that they're actually spiritual entities. So they travel astrally. I can't talk. I am so sorry. Let me grab a drink. My allergies are flared up, guys. So like I have a whole nasal thing going on. So where was I? So shamans believe that they're not physical beings, they're actual spiritual entities, and that they travel astrally as magical guardians against those that try to cause that shaman harm. So, so there's that in shamanism. Neo-pagans, so the neo-pagans out there think, which would include, I guess could kind of include Wicca, I think that's considered neo-pagan. It's an actual living animal. So animal familiars for Wicca and for neo-paganism, it's an actual animal. They can have that you have an emotional or physical bond and connection with. It's normally like a cat, a dog, a rat. Sometimes it's a bird. Small animals like that who are attuned with your magic, and they're attuned with with your powers as their human partner. So they're very connected, both emotionally, spiritually, physically to you. They're very attuned to what's happening and what's going on. That's how you'll know if it's a familiar or not, and you can call it a familiar. There are some witches and some people that practice Wicca, or have Wicca as a religion, I'm sorry, and practice witchcraft that have animals, but their animals are not considered familiars because they don't attune themselves with the magical aspects of your life. They don't get involved with that. Not everyone has, needs, or wants a familiar. So if you don't have one, it's not a big deal. If you do have one, you want to try strengthening that psychic bond between them. And there is a book out there by Ted Andrews, I think is his name. Yeah, Ted Andrews, called Animal Speaks. That is an amazing book that actually goes through and breaks down and tells you how you can make that psychic connection with your animal familiar and bring them in and closer to you. Wonderful, wonderful book. Highly recommend that. If you guys have read it, please let me know what you guys thought of it too and what you guys learned from it. Animals that appear unexpectedly, they could be drawn to you physically. So like if you are one, perfect example, I live in a trailer park currently and in Kansas, and every stray cat that I have ever come across it will come to my door and it will sit and it will stare at me through my door, through my front door. It will meow at me. It will scratch at me, and it will not go away. I don't know how many times I've had to rehome animals that have done this. And obviously, if I had food setting out or there was an abundance of birds in my yard or things like that, it's going to attract cats and other animals like that. So in that case, it wouldn't be considered, a familiar coming to you. But when you have nothing like that setting out, and it's like a day-to-day, daily basis, and nobody else in the trailer court, like nobody had possession of these cats, like they would just show up on my door. And so there's been a couple that I've taken in over the years. There's been several that I've rehomed throughout the trailer park, or kids that are walking by are like, hey, if my mom says it's okay, can I have this kitten? And I'm like, sure. And they're anywhere from little baby kittens that probably have been dumped off just looking for, someplace warm. And I just happen to have a home that I guess is welcoming to them. And the energy, I guess, must be a positive one for them to come around. To animals that, even dogs. I've even had a couple birds. I've had a bunny rabbit at my front door once. Which I thought was really weird and strange for me because I've never seen a rabbit, especially a wild rabbit, come up to a door before. But it literally, they just sit there and stare. And it happens on more than one occasion. So it's the same animal happening more than one occasion. So it was like the same cat coming to my door for weeks on end every day. Different times throughout the day, sometimes at night. I would wake up in the morning, open my front door, and he'd be laying by my front door like he lives here. Those are the animals you want to take account for and really try to get to know and figure out why they're there, because some of them could be familiars that are coming to you that you have a psychic connection with or a physical connection with. Some of them could be loved ones that are passed over that you can that are trying to send messages to you, things like that. So if you want to draw one to you, like you don't have one and you want to draw one to you, you can do meditation and try to form a psychic connection with that. Again, Animal Speaks can tell you how to do that. I want to be clear, though, that animal familiars, and it's said that animal familiars choose you. You don't choose them. And on some form, I agree with that, but there has been other forms where I have not agreed with that. I agree that everything happens for a reason. And if you are a person that is looking for, say, a dog, and you don't want to go to a breeder, you want to go to the pound and adopt one. And you've looked at, say, 5, 10, 20 different dogs, and you keep going back to the exact same dog, that dog, there's a reason for that. And sometimes those dogs are afraid and they don't connect with you right off the bat. But as you bring them home and you love and you care for them and you show them that you're not going to hurt them, they form that physical and emotional connection with you and they become your familiar. So I think it can go both ways. I think that, yes, an animal can come to you and choose you, but I think that sometimes the universe puts you in that situation to choose your familiar. And you always know, because it's just like walking by a crystal, or just like walking by if you're trying to buy a house. You just can't get that thing off your mind. You just can't walk away from it. And that's how you know that there's a reason there, that, you know, it's for you. So you can't request which animal's going to be your familiar. Sometimes you're going to think it's a cat and they just don't connect with you. And I know for a lot of practicing witches, it's hard, because when you think of a witch, you automatically think of a cat. I know I do. Or a toad. Sometimes it can be a gecko. Sometimes it can be a snake. It just kind of all depends on the familiar itself and whether or not they connect with you. You may end up making an emotional and physical and psychic connection to a snake, not even realizing you're doing that, and that becomes your familiar, and they want, you know, they're all in tune with your magical abilities. It just kind of all depends. So you can't request what animal it'll be, but you can, however, inherit one from like dying elders. So say your grandparents are passing away or something, your grandma's passing away, and her little chihuahua that's been in the family for generations and years has nowhere to go, and you're taking that on. Well, because it has such a strong family bonding connection, that's probably going to end up being a familiar for you, because it's going to have essence of your grandmother with it. And she, in all honesty, she could even very well, as in passing, inherit some of those properties within that chihuahua that will be passed to you, and you later on will have certain tendencies that remind you of your grandmother that's passed. I've had a few animals that have been like that, like, you know, people that have passed that we've taken on their animals in the family, and it just, they remind you so much of that person that's passed. So that is possible. Like I said, those are animal familiars. Spirit animals are more of spirit, they're like more of a spirit animal guardian. They're going to connect with you, but they're going to connect with you and you may not even have one. It just kind of all depends. But you're going to know if you have a spirit animal versus familiar, because it's going to make itself persistent in your life. It's going to show itself more than 4 times to you in your life. So if you're going on your day-to-day life and you're seeing, all of a sudden, out of the blue, you just keep seeing, what's a random animal? Snails. We'll just say snails or butterflies. Just out of the blue, you've never really, you know, seen a lot of them where you're at or where you're, you know, where you live. And all of a sudden, you just keep seeing these abundance of butterflies or snails everywhere. 2 things are happening. Either one, somebody's trying to contact you and tell you something, so you always want to look up the meaning of that animal. And 2, it could be your spirit animals reaching out to you saying, hey, here I am, this is what you need, this is what I'm about, this is how to connect with me. So I'm hoping, that's what I've got for you guys, I'm hoping that kind of broke down the difference between a familiar, a witch's familiar, and a spirit animal or totem. I can tell you that the spirit animal and totem is something that comes from like the Native American heritage does it a lot. Some of your shamanism does it a lot. It's just focusing in on where your heart lies. My personal spirit animal is, I have more than one, and that's okay too. You don't have to have just one. There's no rule or cosmic universal rule that says you can only have one familiar or you can only have one spirit animal or totem. You can have more than that. It's whatever the universe feels that you need at the time or what you accept. I actually have two dominant spirit animals. They are a wolf and an owl. I feel the wolf itself has been with me since I was little. My mother's spirit animal is a black panther, which in my recent years, being little, I used to dream and see black panthers a lot. And thinking back to it now, I think that was my way of my mom's not familiars, but spirit animal. I'm sorry, correct myself. Her spirit animal was a black panther, and I think looking back on that, every time I would dream or see that black panther, it was like a part of my mom was watching over me. So, even to this day, when I see it or I dream about it, I always call her and make sure she's okay, and that maybe it's not her way of psychically like sending out a distress signal of some sort or something. So, but wolf and owl are my two dominant ones. Foxes and hawks I see a lot of. So, I'm thinking that just recently the fox, it's always been a hawks, but just recently the foxes, I've been seeing a lot of them. Even driving in town, like they'll just run out and cross in front of me. So I need to look up foxes. I know they're kind of mischievous little tricksters. So I'm wondering if there's like, maybe there's some sort of deceit or trickery going on in my life right now with somebody. I'm not sure, but gonna have to meditate and research on that. So just pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to your pets and your familiars and what they're doing while you're doing your magical workings. Are they involved? Are they not involved? Do they seem to have an emotional and physical connection? Do you have a really, really, really strong bond with them? If you do, that is your familiar. And they're family. It's familiar, family, familia. It's all the same. So treat them as such. The more you guys open yourselves up and learn how to psychically connect with them, the better your life's going to be. I promise you. So, all right, guys, until next time, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys later. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. I also will put down in the link bar down there the link to the Witch's Den Facebook group also, if you guys want to join that. So let me know and just head on over there. All right, guys, many blessings to you guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.